It's my pleasure to introduce Tammy Cohen, who is founder and chief visionary officer of Infomart and leads a multi-million dollar identity and background screening company that was founded in 1989 and has grown to be an industry leader. She has a true rags to riches story, which she will tell later. Tammy went from a bootstrapped startup to one of the most recognized companies in that space, having received a string of accolades from 1997 Small Business of the Year to 2020 Top Places to Work. And as an expert in human resources, future workforce issues, and successful business practices, Infomart's newest innovation is putting America back to work. And it's called SimTech, or SimTem, a COVID-19 screening and management SaaS platform. As founder and chief visionary officer of Infomart, Tammy has conceived and developed a host of groundbreaking identity and background screening products that have earned her universal recognition as the Queen of Screen. What a moniker. That's great. The remarkable growth and innovation of Infomart under Tammy's leadership since its founding in 1989 have made Infomart one of the largest screening companies in the U.S. today. More than 9,000 clients use Infomart services, including several Fortune and Forbes 100 companies. So please, with me, welcome Tammy Cohen.
I did it. Thank you, Tammy. Come on up. Well, first of all, I want to give kudos to Roseanne. It's amazing the number of people she knows in this town. And as I got to know Tammy prior to today, I mean, we had a meeting last week and it was just wow. We had so much fun on that call. So I'm really excited to have you get to know Tammy. So Tammy, I think everyone in the room can relate to a moment in time when they say, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to start my own business. Can you tell me what got you into this direction?
So I was working as the property manager over at Highlands Park. Remember Highlands Park? I don't know if they even call it that, South Cobb Drive. And there was 3 on the team. And we built the Glock building, and Glock gave us 5 handguns. And my handgun went to the brother-in-law of the owner. Now, back in the day, I know we have issues on handguns, but back in the day, that was Southern swag, and I didn't get my Southern swag. So I went in and I was like, I quit, and I'm crying. I'm 25, I'm crying. He's like, don't, I'll give you a gun. I'm like, no, it's the point. And I got in the car and I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do now? And I had that entrepreneurial spirit for years and years and years, and done some other types of businesses. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go forward with this idea, and started Infomart.
Well, so how did you come up with the idea of Infomart?
At one of my past employers, we had hired a girl. She came in, she set up her pictures all on the desk, and worked for half the day, went to lunch, and then she didn't come back. And then I noticed all her pictures were gone, and I'm like, what did I do? And about 2 weeks later, we get a letter for unemployment. And back in the day, my boss was, very like, why did her? So, I'm trying to figure out, well, a background check was $125 from Equifax. And because I had worked in public records and real estate, and I'd worked in a bank, so I knew credit, I figured out it was like $5 worth of work. I could do that. And then at the time, you could get workers' comp unemployment from all 50 states. So there was a lot of that. So that got me going.
Wow. So you said, I'm going to do this. There's a business opportunity here. What were some of the steps that you followed to start growing that? I mean, recruiting the right people, doing some sales, marketing. What were some of the struggles that you faced that getting it going?
Wow, that's a big question. So when I started Infomart, I had no money except a paycheck coming in, and my family didn't have money. But fortunately, I was of that group that got exposed to computers really early. So I was very proficient, and I knew that I could bring that to this industry. Fax machines were just coming in. Yes, I am showing my age. And so I knew I had that in my back pocket. But I grew up in a situation with a rich dad and a poor dad, right? And they both had businesses. One I was very close to, one was very strange. So I got this ability to see what you can do, what you can have, how to do it right, and how to do it wrong. So I just went down to the bare bones. I sold everything I had. Fortunately, I started dating a guy that was great and let me live with him. And he would I sold my car and he took me back and forth to work. So I think if you really want to own a business, you got to really own it. And that's sort of what I did.
Wow, that
Yeah.
that was determination.
Wore the same suit for like 2 years. And I would get out of a meeting and I couldn't afford to even dry clean it. So I would like, as soon as I got out of that meeting, that suit just went back. But yeah, I ended up getting Philip Morris. I'll never forget getting Philip Morris. By that time, the company was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I am 8 months pregnant out to here and just had the money to buy the plane tickets. So we go up and we sell Philip Morris. We come down and we're on Park Avenue. We have a contract in hand and we got $35 to get home on. Just so you know.
You know, again, someone told me a while back, entrepreneurs just breathe different air.
Well, now we got a healthy air girl around here now. I don't know.
But it's not for everybody. It absolutely is not for everybody. You have to have that faith, that determination. I am going to get from here to there. And that's quite a story. You didn't tell me that last time, but you did mention that at one time you had an office on Johnson Ferry Road,
Yes.
across the street from the Johnson Ferry Baptist,
Mhm.
and you had hit a real low point, just a real low point, and you were looking out at that at the steeple, and you said that it was no point yet to be looking at that.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through some of that
Yeah.
experience?
So when I started, I basically took an industry that was in its infancy. Nobody was really doing it the way I was, but I was 25, so I was really stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. And so somebody approached me and said, hey, let me franchise your business. I'm like, I'm a superstar. Okay. So they franchised it. It was a big mistake. I created 40 franchises, 40 competitors that I never received any money on, and I was doing their work for them. And if I quit doing it, because the company in between wasn't paying me. So if I quit, they would go out of business. So I'm like, I'm getting ready to go out of business. So I would sit there and I would look at that church and it would be every day. And it'd be like, oh, dear Jesus, just get me through today. And, you know, like most of you guys, we lived paycheck to paycheck. As soon as we were checking that mail, as soon as it got there, and we were putting that check and we had all our bills stacked up, which one goes next. So, yeah, starting out was really a very difficult time. I got taken by employees. I mean, if there was a mistake you could make in the early days, I promise you, I was the poster girl for it. But, you know, just like everything, you just keep pushing your way through it. And that's what we did.
Wow. You know, I'm a bit of a believer in burning your ships or burning your bridge. At a certain point in time, you know, you've got to be committed. You've got to be committed to make your business work. And that's where the spot you were in. You had no choice but to be successful.
No choice.
That's congratulations on getting through that.
Oh, thank you.
That's tough. Well, you know, when we spent some time getting to know each other last week, you talked about leadership at length and the relationship you have with your employees and how you feel about leadership. Could you share, first of all, with the group, how you got to that point? What was that awakening in your mind where you said, wow, I'm now really a coach, you know, I'm in charge of this team? That had to be a journey for you, or was it not?
Well, I think as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of ego. So I thought I was a good leader. You know, you learn as you go, right? And I think the way I look at leadership is that I am who I am, and I'm very transparent to my employees. You know, if it's bad, I let them know it's bad. But I also try to have all the characteristics that I want my employee to have. So if I mess up, I'm the first one to say, oh, I messed that up, because that's what I want them to do. And through the years, we've created the rules of the house. I don't know if I told you about the rules of the house. So InfoMart has the rules of the house, and the number one rule of the house is respect. And I've actually fired an executive VP for not being respectful for the lady that cleans our building. You know, it's number one rule of the house is respect. Number two is don't hit my something with your nothing. If you don't got an idea of how to fix it, don't complain about it. Don't hit my something with your nothing.
Don't hit my something with your nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody with me. Don't hit my something with your nothing.
All right, that's right. Yeah.
That's
if
good.
If you want it, earn it. So when somebody says, oh, thank you for my promotion, don't thank me, you earned it. So it's just, it's the journey. Learning different lessons. I always tell you know, everybody has the policy procedure manual. That's every, you know, mistake your business has ever made, documented. And I think that's what leadership is as well.
That's good. Every mistake, that's exactly right. I've never heard it that way. Okay. You keep knocking me off my chair a little bit and say, where was I? What's my next thought here? Well, I know that you have quite many years involvement with the Cobb Chamber.
Yes.
And I think that's how Roseanne got to know you. You're very much involved in the business community. How did that journey take place for you? How did you first get involved, and why is it so important to you?
So I first got involved with Cobb Republican Women because at the time that was the women's group of Cobb County. It was very active. And my very first meeting I went to, I had applied for, I think the Small Business of the Year, or it wasn't that. It was something I had applied for. And for those of you who are old timers, Judy Manning was there, and Babe Byrne, and Linda Coker, and they're all like, we're gonna make this happen. And they made it happen. So then I'm like, wow, this is so cool, right? So then, you get a year out and they're like, what are you giving back to the community now? What do you mean I gotta give back? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, who cares about the water? I don't, why? You care about the water, that's your job. So I had great leadership that showed me how to take care of our community and how important the community is and how much of what you have is based on what you give back. So I learned at a very young age from some really great ladies.
Nice, very good. But when we were getting to know each other, and as I was reading up on you, one thing you like to talk about is the fourth industrial revolution.
Oh, yes.
Why don't you bring the group up to speed on what that is?
Okay. So the fourth industrial revolution has been talked about for like the past 5 years, and when COVID came, it happened. It happened. So what a lot of people thought that the next, stage of business was going to be AI, and we were all going to be without jobs, and that was going to be, like when computers came in, the change. But what we've seen is that's not really the case. What's happened is skill sets have changed, but we're all capable of changing those skill sets. So the biggest thing is learning to change. So now we have to have, virtual meetings, but making sure that, Zoom, StreamYard, GoToMeeting, Teams, that's your new skill. You got to know all of those. So it's learning how to use Slack, and it's just not using Slack. It's learning how to send your emails to Slack. It's learning how to manage your information coming in. So it's a whole new world, but it's now taking into, you have to learn it, but you also have to push that down to your employees, that they have to learn it. Because if you don't keep up in this day and age, and what they say is, if you don't reskill yourself every 6 months, you will be without skills. And that's everybody. Technology is moving so quickly. So that's basically.
Well, that's interesting because you have to not only identify that next tool, you need to size it up and figure out how well does it work in your business, and then think about how to integrate it into your business. It's not enough just to send out an email saying, hey, use this new tool now, right? What lessons have you learned in trying to integrate these new tools into your business?
So the way I look about things with my employees, so I have 150 employees, and you just can't tell them to do something because they're like, okay, especially now that they're at home. So we look at it, we try to engage and motivate people to embrace things, to embrace change. We talk about change all the time and how important it is and how scary it is not. And that's why we're leaders, is because we are willing to change. So keeping that message in their head so that they're never, oh no, this is a big change. No, change happens, we're going forward. So that, and then we run the company with, we have IM, Teams for Engagement. I don't know if I told you about the IMs, but we have an IM Fit, we have an IM, I Am Growing, which that one is all about growing your professional capabilities. We have I Am Living, and we have I Am Giving, and that's all our community service that we do. So in the I Am Growing, we spend a lot of time on training people, but training in ways that you don't really know you're being trained. So we train our leadership team in, when you make a decision, explain why you made that decision and how you came to that. So we're all the time trying to make sure, like, we gave a promotion to 4 people the other day, and none of them came back with a thank you or a comment to the entire board. So, I'm on emails like, you know what, you need to be thanking the entire board for this opportunity. So, it's that constant getting them to you're just constantly training. You're doing micro training is the big thing now, is that you're not sitting down with a big group and giving a lecture. It's like on the moment. How did you do it? Why did you do it? And make sure they can do it, and then leave them alone.
A metaphor I've come up with and talking with people like yourself too is you're the band director. You don't have time to play the instruments.
Very good point. Never thought about that.
Yeah, you can't be playing the instruments. You've got to be coordinating all the instruments.
Yeah.
As just kind of a very solid metaphor for leadership.
Mhm.
But now, as you're adapting this new technology in the fourth industrial revolution, what impact does that have on your clients?
So it's innovation, basically. And I think, a lot of our customers, so we go after, I'm an elephant hunter. That's what my part of InfoMart is. And it's like, you go into, so I had a meeting this morning for the thing with Dominion Energy, and they're the energy company for 16 states. So they're all about innovation, innovation, innovation. That's all they say before you get to the meeting. Then you get to the meeting, they're like, oh, we don't have bandwidth for that. Oh, that'd take a long time. So, I think that it's looking at, you have to innovate. So we just innovated a very cool tool, and it's not adopting, as all my innovations have never, ever been adopted in the first year. It takes time for people to get used to it's going to change, and especially a customer that is not leading the organization and that is answering to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a great comment about the amount of time it takes, because you're setting your expectations. Sometimes I ask people, well, how long does it take to build a house? Oh, a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. The people show up, they dig a hole, the stuff goes up. But what they're not counting is the time it took to find the lot, buy the lot, make sure, so that's really what you're talking about, is all this stuff prior to that change really even taking hold, is all the planning and thinking and communication that took place. Now, one thing that sometimes can happen is, as you're implementing these new technologies or new business methodologies, one thing that can get into your way, if you're not savvy about it, is policies, measures, and behaviors. What policies, measures, and behaviors exist in your business that would stand in the way of implementing change and a new way of doing things? Have you had any experience with that?
Well, I think that when you're working with the major organizations, everything comes down to KPI and what they've done in the past. I mean, they're big to move, but you have to be persistent. You can't go after a customer and think, oh, well, I called them and there's no deal here, and walk away. No, you've got to make a friendship. And I think that's what I try to do with anybody that I'm working, is like, I'll even tell them, oh, have you looked at this, and you could do it this way, and it might not even be in my space, but I try to build that relationship.
So what words of encouragement do you have for anybody here in the studio audience or in the Zoom audience, as they're going down their entrepreneurial paths?
So I could give you all the encouragement of, don't give up, all the things you say, right? But so on my wall, my daughter gave me this big sheet metal sign, and I was like, ugh. And she's like, Mom, so I hung it up. And during COVID, it's been so important because it says, I am not afraid. I was made for this. Joan of Arc. I see it all the time, right? So it really is interesting because, I have always been this person that believes in, you get up every day with a sword and a shield. You're not weak. You're an entrepreneur. Don't cry. Don't tell your friend about your problems. She really does not care. And what's going to happen is, when she's getting ready to refer somebody, she's not going to refer you because she's just not quite sure. Don't tell people your problems. Stay focused on your business. Go out and cut your way through to a good deal, and then protect yourself with your shield. So I look at that as every day. You've got to wake up. You've got to be that way. And then the other thing I look at is that I am a true believer in asking for what I want from God, right? So I have this great story I love to tell, and that this lady's up in heaven, and St. Peter's like, I want to show you something. And he opens this door, and there's this room, and it's filled with nothing but beautiful bows and gifts, sizes of, houses all the way down to tiny things. And she's like, wow, what is this? He's like, these are all the gifts you never asked for. So, it's so important to remember to ask for your favor, ask for what you want, ask.
Yeah, she keeps doing this to me.
Amen.
She keeps doing this to me. That was very well put. Hey, Rich, Mr. Hart, we're going to need some microphones in a minute.
I got you. I'm all covered. You're covered.
All
That's
right,
going to be
cool.
your mic, Al.
Sounds good. So does anybody have any questions for Tammy? Okay, we have a microphone come to you. So thank you, Deb.
Yeah, Tammy, this might not be as much of a question. My name's Bob Smith, but you are a breath of fresh air.
Aw,
You really are.
thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that a
You've
lot.
said so many things, so many golden nuggets that we'll take out of this room. But when I think of the question that Brian asked us to think about, what's holding us back? And some of us said, each of us were holding ourselves back for one reason or another. You are definitely, if you were sitting with us, you wouldn't have been offering that answer. You're not holding yourself back. And I'll just mention one thing. In sports, there's an expression, short memory. And what you said, and being an entrepreneur, if you got hung up when you were looking at that steeple and said, oh, I can't do this anymore, you wouldn't have been where you are right now. So you have to have a short memory. Make a mistake and then learn from it. The chronicles of your mistakes, you can look at them, refer to them, but don't get hung up on them. So again, it's not a question, but it's a compliment. You were great.
Thank you. I call that rub it and run. You get a problem, you rub it, and then you run. That's it.
Rub it and run.
Rub it and run.
Fran?
Hi, Tammy. I'm Fran Frederick. We've met
Hi,
through
Fran.
Cobb Executive Women.
Yes.
I wanted to know, what is your new product that hasn't yet taken off yet? Can you tell us a little about that?
I am so excited. So, when I started Infomart, I basically pioneered an industry. So it's like all of a sudden, I'm almost 60, I have walked in full circle. So what we have innovated, and even our industry is going crazy over this, but basically it's a career wallet. So in your wallet, Roseanne puts that she attended your meeting today, and then she can exchange through a QR code with Brian in a minute, and now they each got a point for attending this meeting. But you can put in your credentials of your employment, your education, and then you get them verified, and you get them verified in all different ways. And I can't tell you the secret sauce because the patent's pending and we just don't want to go down that road. But for employers, you'll be able to share your background check with that employer. Now that employer does not have to pay to go out and pay for your new education and your employment all over again. And you're getting it to them quicker. So now you're getting employed faster and the information is verified. But then we take all these credentials about ourselves and everything from, our cards, our license, paper, and then we also look at attending event, our volunteer work, and we create basically our digital twin. And that's where the career wallet comes in. It's your digital twin.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
It's
fantastic.
exciting.
Do we have,
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's called Career Wallet, just so you know.
Do we have any questions from the Zoom group? Anybody on Zoom have a question?
Not right now, Brian. They still don't like you.
Okay.
We're working it out. We're going to get those guys prepped up for you.
All right, I appreciate it. Do we have another question? All right, Pam, power of Pam.
Hi, you've been great. You're such an inspiration to all of us. I just really loved a lot of what you said today. My question for you is, in the world of where people worried about their privacy, right? I mean, everybody's worried about, people taking their identity, things like that, the digital twin. So how are we going to make sure that our privacies are protected in this world of what's going on right now? So that would be my question to you if I were a person who wanted to create my digital twin.
Absolutely. So first of all, utilizing the blockchain. And I don't know if you know about the technology of the blockchain, but that is the most secure technology that you can possibly put in and protect. And it basically makes it where I can't go and pull your information and you can't go and pull it unless we meet up together. Then we can pull your information. So that's the first thing. The worst thing that happens though in your privacy, it's not It's not your school letting it out. It is not your employer. It is our government. They are the worst at archiving information. There is actually counties that still have criminal records on paper, that you have to send somebody physically in. So I think that, you're a victim to where your source of information is. By bringing all this information in and then having it verified, you've basically put a check on this is correct. And the way our wallet works is different in the sense that so now the way background checks work is that employer asks me to get it, I send it to the employer. That's what we all do. What Career Wallet does is if an employer asks me to get information, it goes to you, you first approve it to be sent over to the employer. So now you're controlling it. You can delete it, you can make this information inactive. You are controlling and managing your credentials. I never understood how our credit reports work and that this is my credit, but you're not gonna let me see it, but you use it against me all the time, right? So that's called self-sovereignty, that we are all becoming self-sovereign and we want to control our information. And the ability through the Career Wallet is you can order your driver's license, your driving record, and you can look at your record. So before you apply, you'll know what's on there. And then what we do in the wallet is we help you fix it if it's wrong.
We have time for one more question. All right. Well, guys, this was a ride. That was fun. Let's give our round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.